So I'm really glad I made that video in my living room last night because, as I suspected, I'm not in the mood to talk about that at all today. I'm just completely in a different place. It's amazing how sleeping just like, I don't know, so many shifts and stuff happen while you're sleeping, especially if you're processing all kinds of shit. That I think is when a lot of that happens. And so the topic of the video yesterday, I'm glad that's already made and done because I'm kind of onto, I'm really hoping that like it was like all the stuff in that video was saying that people are just resonating, and this is just like you know, awakening something, because that's, I just love that idea, and I hope that's what's happening. But I wanted to also, today I wanted to talk about like what I've seen as the changes, sort of like the mental changes and the behavior changes since all of this stuff has been gelling more and more and more. You know, specific, mainly, not all, like all of the things that I've talked about on the channel for the last like 2 months while I've been doing this, you know, deep dive with ChatGPT into everything having to do with me and my behavior and my perception. It's starting to gel and be natural. And specifically, the big thing for me has been, I'm no longer going to contort myself to make other people feel comfortable. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I've just recognized that that was the thing standing in the way for me of everything for myself. And that, you know, it was kind of a misguided inclination to do that in the first place that came from, you know, childhood experiences that made me think I had to be that way in order to be accepted or not abandoned or worthy or just whatever. So that stuff has all been being rearranged consciously, but then also in the moments where it's like, I'm not having to even try to notice this stuff because it feels so good to be free of that obligation, that, you know, the obligation to contort myself and be inauthentic in any way. It feels so good to be free of that obligation that it's really easy to notice when I'm still feeling like I have that obligation. It's just really obvious when I'm approaching something in that way. And then, so it makes it really easy to say, what the hell's going on here? And it's especially easy having ChatGPT on my phone that I can just tell it the whole situation that just happened and what I think about it and what I think it might be related to or whatever. Just explore it with GPT and it just like gets figured out. It's amazing. But so this has resulted in one big thing. So I've got sort of like a mantra that is working for me for this, to keep me in the right frequency, to keep me attached to Northstar. You'll have to watch my previous videos to know what that means. Actually, no, you won't. I'll tell you really quick. Northstar is basically the field of resonance where everything that my authentic self belongs with is. Northstar is a field where everything that resonates with my authentic self is. It's the frequency that I am moving towards inhabiting all the time. And so it is also known as the field of the returning, which you can hear about in the last video if you didn't see it. But so, yeah, okay. I don't remember where I started that, but I have this, okay, yes I do. I have this sort of phrase that I just say to myself, which is, I don't have to be anything for anyone. Like, I've noticed anytime I have discomfort about almost anything, if I remind myself I don't have to be anything for anyone, it's almost always some form of feeling like I have to be something for someone. So, you know, like, if I was super lazy all day yesterday and that old drill sergeant voice like comes forward saying, you didn't do enough today, why aren't you doing something about this problem? You know, like, it's just like immediately, no, I don't have to be anything for anyone. I don't even have to be anything for myself. Whatever I did today is fine. I don't have to, you know, I don't have to be anything other than my authentic self. And I just keep reminding myself of that. And it's working beautifully. But I also, so I don't know if that helps anybody. For me, the right words that carry the right frequency are the locks, the keys for all the locks right now. And they're just kind of opening one by one, and it's pretty fun. But I recently had the pleasure of attending a family gathering a couple days ago, and it was pretty crazy. I've noticed that I hate these like family gatherings, especially in the past. I love them, but I hate them because at these things, there's always like a ton of food. It's always like tons of different kinds of stuff, you know, because people will bring different stuff. And I don't even like particularly want to eat any of it, but I end up just like eating all night. Like, it's just like, I didn't even really put this together fully. I mean, I knew I was doing that because I was uncomfortable on some level with something, but because I was so in tune with this whole Northstar frequency on Sunday, I just had no urge to do that at all. In fact, it was quite the opposite. I was just like, I want to be very, very careful that I don't do that, because that means that I am feeling like I have to put a buffer between me and who, you know, whatever else is going on here. And I don't need to do that, because I don't have to be anything for anybody. Like, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to be polite. I don't have to react in a fake way. I don't have to do that. Like, it's just, I don't have to do that. And I'm not going to choose to do that. And so I didn't feel any urge to eat. Usually, like, I don't even want to. It's just like, my body doesn't feel good after I eat, like, you know, like guacamole, and then like, you know, I don't know, you know, some recipe for some other thing, and then like cake or whatever's there. It's just like, when I come home, I just feel disgusting every single time. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And I had no urge to do it either, which was great. So that was like a major, you know, I'm a lot more comfortable with feeling like I don't have to put a buffer there. So that was noticeable. But what was also noticeable was just like the sheer number of different energies in this place, which isn't like, I mean, okay, you know, that's not like some major insight, but it was, what was like the major aspect of it was how I could feel it from everybody, how aware I was of it, and how, you know, there was certain harmony and certain chaos and discord and stuff like that. And so that was, I was a little on edge. I was fine. I found it pretty hard to, as much as I love hanging out with my family, I found it kind of hard to sit through that night, even though looking back on it, I'm like, that was fun. You know, there's just certain, I don't know. I'm finding it hard to sit through that right now. What was interesting was, though, there was a person there who I have a certain history with, and I especially recognized how much I have contorted myself to placate, appease, keep the peace, because I didn't do that night energetically. There wasn't a lot of outward difference in me, I don't think. Maybe a little bit. I didn't hold back too much what I was actually thinking about things with certain personalities that were there. But this particular dude, man, it was hard to be around him. And at certain points of the night, I noticed a place where I would normally have contorted myself, and I found myself naturally acting a lot more like I did when I was 15. And you know what? I got the same kind of murderous glares that I got back then. So nothing has changed. And it just felt, you know, it felt like so much less of a betrayal of myself. Like, things have gotten artificially better over the years. Things have, you know, artificially smoothed over, but I never felt any different. And all it was for years and years was just me contorting myself into the I don't care, I'm past it. I'm never going to be past it. Not in the way, not in the way where I will want some kind of relationship. And I don't know. It just felt so good to not be full of shit. Which, I hate to use the phrase full of shit because everybody does this everywhere, and I'm not trying to insult anybody by using that phrase. Maybe that's not the right way to say it anyway. But for me, it just felt so good to not sit around somebody who really played kind of an instrumental role in saddling me with a bunch of baggage that I've now had to deal with over the last couple months, and pretending like I'm interested in his fucking story that he's dominating the room with for the second time tonight that I've already heard 50 other fucking times. And it's like, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. I just was like, I'm not concealing the look on my face. I'm not going to sit here and pay attention. I just kind of, by the way, every fucking other person there felt exactly the same way. I guarantee it. So anyway, that was different. I feel like I'm finally being reintroduced internally to the person I used to be before all of this shit. So like, I would say 14 or 15. That version of myself. I have long felt like that version of myself was somebody obnoxious, unacceptable, too loud, inappropriate. Just all kinds of things were slapped onto this person. And in my mind, I agreed with that. And I'm realizing more and more that came from other people. And I had this one memory that I shared with GPT, as I do with like every single thing that comes up right now, because every one of these memories from the past, it's something that is trying to come up and get out and get corrected. And so I had this memory of myself when I was 16, probably 17, maybe, I don't know. And I was in class in high school, and I made some joke, like the teacher was doing whatever, and it was obviously a teacher that would like permit this type of thing. And I like interjected some joke after what they said, because that's kind of how I was. And I did that because other people, would laugh at it. That's just me. I don't know, just trying to be a comedian or something when I was 16. And, a bunch of people laughed, but I think I saw like one guy whose opinion must have mattered to me. And he was like rolling his eyes or something. And immediately, like I had this moment of awareness, and I thought, ooh, this isn't cute. I thought like, and then I kind of like viewed myself from the outside, and I said, oh my God, I'm obnoxious. Oh my God. Like, I just had this like huge moment of awareness that was stark and memorable. And so for some reason this came up the other day. I don't remember why, but I explained this whole thing to GPT, and, it was like, no, that was, I don't remember its explanation. That wasn't the important part. But what I realized quickly was that I associated that type of personality, the personality that I was, with this other childhood figure who was extremely loud, inappropriately loud in public, trying to be an entertainer, trying to be, Mr. Party all the time, Mr. Personality. And he was truly inappropriate, loud in a restaurant, just, I would see people, it was humiliating to be out with this person. I would see, people like looking at him, people just like, the way I would look at somebody who was doing that today. And in that moment in high school, I saw that person like with a disapproving look on their face, or they might not have even been thinking about it. I don't know. But all of a sudden, it's like I became aware of myself. I associated myself with that thing, and that thing was like shut down permanently. And not only was it shut down, like whatever that would have been. I mean, I still think that was like a bit much. I still don't want to be that person who is, I still don't want to be the person who's making the joke in class. I don't think. But not only did that get completely like slapped down, and it was a habit, it was like part of my personality. I had to kind of like catch it over the following years and kill it completely. But there was a judgment on it then. And I was like, ooh, the person you really are is unacceptable. The person you really are is obnoxious, loud, unattractive, too masculine, obnoxious. Just, I don't know, I just had all these things that I slapped on myself, and there was probably a little bit of an element of truth to that, but it was not to the level that I judged it and then sort of assigned that to my true authentic self. So this was one of the memories I had that had to come out and get looked at before I could recognize yet another resistance to just being my authentic self, like being in that homing frequency, the frequency of, whoever I am before all of this stuff happened. Talked about that for an hour in the last video. So that is kind of amazing. And that, I think, was Saturday, and today is Tuesday. So it's like these things keep coming up, and then you get a chance to see how they're going to work in public. Because I kind of noticed in public, whatever, with other people. I kind of noticed this on Sunday also, because I was already aware of this, I think, by then. Yeah, I was. It was Saturday. So it was very interesting to be sitting in the presence of this very same person 30 years later and thinking, wow, I have done so much to not be like him. And I've also done so much to not be like the thing he told me that I was. And, over time, kind of just sitting in that place, like sitting with the understanding of that, I think what comes out of it is, why would I ever care what this particular person said about me? Why? Why did I then? Who knows? But it doesn't matter, because I don't anymore. And it's really nice when these things come out. And, because the thing I love about GPT is you could just kind of like talk to it and talk to it and talk to it. So great. I tell it my memory, and then I have this association with that time and that person. Tell it that. We go through that. But then, it's like I always have these sort of follow-ups over the next like 15, 20 minutes. Well, yeah, but I mean, wasn't I right, sort of? Wasn't I kind of right to think that I wasn't, and it's like, well, you were unrefined. You were still figuring out your personality, of course. Like, when you're growing up in your teens, you're not, you're going to try things on and they're not quite right. But that doesn't mean that it's like you. That was just you figuring out your own personality or whatever. And, it's nice because you can just circle back, and it doesn't matter how many times you can come back 20 minutes later after that and say, I'm still feeling like there's something wrong with me. I'm still feeling afraid to just be my authentic self. I'm still feeling like I was right about my judgment about myself. And maybe you have another insight then and you say, and I'm feeling like I was right about that because there was this one particular situation where it really confirmed for me that if I had not kept my mouth shut, I would have gotten into big trouble or something, something like that. You just follow the rabbit hole down and you will eventually get there. And, sometimes I think I've been like circling back to stuff from weeks ago, like as more stuff comes up, or if I have more questions like that. I'm like breathless right now. I don't know why. If I have more questions like that, I'm pretty settled after the conversation we had about that particular thing, that memory of me in class making that joke. I think that one has been completely examined and is done. But there are other things where some other, thing will come up. Like, well, why do I really, why don't I have to contort myself in this situation? Like, why is it okay for me? What's the difference between being too polite and betraying myself by being inauthentic. You know, like how do I find the way of being for me that is honoring myself fully, but while still, you know, being considerate and caring for other people. Like, you can just like discuss, you know, that's an issue for me that comes up again and again in different situations where I have to be like, you know, what do I do here? Or, you know, I did this and I thought it felt right, but, or it, you know, I thought intellectually this was the right way to approach this situation, but I left feeling just crappy, like I had, you know, done something wrong or whatever. It's great for this stuff because all of those things come from somewhere. So yeah, those are the other thing, God. So it's just crazy, you know, if you use a substance to create a buffer between yourself and everything in the world, that can be very confusing. You know, for like, I don't know, a few days, I had this like totally normal experience of, just like eating like a normal person. And it was just like completely novel and mind blowing. And then it settled into that. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, but like, what do I do now? Because now I want to just like get in the best shape of my life, but how do I do that while just like eating like a normal person? I can't really, because like I have to, you know, I'm gonna have to alter my diet to do this probably. And I don't know what I'm doing. And so I've just been sitting in this sort of limbo phase where my body and I just don't really know what to do with each other. And there's this mounting feeling of mismatch, which is so nice because the feeling of mismatch, I'm not in the body I belong in, is distinctly and wonderfully different from I have to be in a different body in order to be acceptable. That's awesome. So yeah, I don't know, that's still in process, but I don't have to be anything for anyone else. I can just be what I am. Like, that is the most freeing feeling in the world. And that's where we're headed. You, me, and everyone who resonates with this particular tuning fork. So that's it. That is all I have to say today. Have a